Part 9. The Conflict Shadow. One of the three break-off states from the Empire of Sunhaven is struck by a disastrous hurricane. The hurricane, named Hurricane Aldrich, strikes the shadow with unprecedented force. Winds gust up to 250 kilometers per hour, causing widespread damage to the already fragile infrastructure. The storm surge floods low-lying areas, forcing millions to evacuate their homes and seek higher ground. Power lines are toppled, roads are washed away, and buildings are reduced to rubble. The shadow government, already weakened by internal strife and external threats, is overwhelmed by the disaster. Its emergency response systems are inadequate, and many of its leaders are killed or injured in the storm. The survivors are left to fend for themselves, scrambling to find food, shelter, and medical care. As the world begins to learn of the devastation wrought by Hurricane Aldrich, aid begins to pour in from allied nations and international relief organizations. The Empire of Sunhaven, still reeling from the loss of the Shadow, must now balance its own needs with the urgent task of providing aid to its former sister state. The Demon Lord, now the de facto leader of the Empire, mobilizes his forces to help with the recovery effort. He dispatches his most trusted agents to San Marino to investigate the possibility of safely retrieving the core sacred relic. After weeks of careful planning and reconnaissance, they report back to the Demon Lord with a daring plan to infiltrate the Vatican City and steal the relic while the world's attention is focused on East Shadow's recovery, but then report that shockingly the Empire of Frostreach, the rival empire to the Empire of Sunhaven, has already gotten the core sacred relic, and further reports how they have already returned to their empire, against which war isn't possible currently without crossing the lands of neutral states. The Demon Lord, knowing that the Empire of Sunhaven would not be pleased with this news, decides to keep it a secret for the time being. He orders his agents to continue their search for the remaining sacred artifacts while also aiding the Shadow in its recovery. As months pass, the Shadow begins to rebuild under the watchful eye of the Demon Lord. The infrastructure is restored, homes are rebuilt, and the survivors find hope once again. Meanwhile, the Empire of Sunhaven continues to gather information about the whereabouts of the remaining sacred artifacts. They dispatch their most trusted agents to investigate leads in South America, where it is rumored that the heart sacred relic may be hidden. After weeks of searching, they finally locate it deep within the heart of the Amazon rainforest, guarded by a tribe of warriors who have sworn to protect it until the end of time.
The news of the disaster does not go unnoticed by the other nations. Emperor Aldrich of Frostreach, now strengthened by the core sacred relic and the loyalty of his subjects, organizes a massive relief effort. Aid pours in from across the world, with food, water, medicine, and building materials being flown in and trucked in to assist the struggling survivors. The Storm Dragon, now a symbol of hope and renewal in the wake of destruction, accompanies the relief efforts, using its immense power to clear debris and create makeshift landing zones for aircraft. The undead druids of Brocliant, led by Archdruid Melphus, set up camps to provide medical care and shelter for the injured, while the avatars of the four elements work tirelessly to rebuild the damaged infrastructure. The people of the Shadow, once proud and independent, are now forced to rely on the aid of others. They are humbled by the experience, and many begin to question their government's ability to protect them. The Emperor of Frostreach, seeing an opportunity to bring the Shadow back into the fold, offers his assistance in rebuilding and restoring order, as well as his protection against any further threats. The Shadow's government, recognizing the wisdom and strength that Emperor Aldrich possesses, accepts his offer of aid and protection. They pledge their loyalty to the Frostreach Empire, acknowledging that only by uniting can they hope to rebuild their shattered homeland. Emperor Aldrich, moved by the people's humility and resilience, agrees to accept the Shadow into his fold. He appoints a new governor, a trusted advisor who has proven himself loyal and capable during the relief efforts. The governor, grateful for the opportunity to serve, vows to rebuild the Shadow stronger and more resilient than ever before. The Empire of Sunhaven decides to attempt to research ancient artifacts hidden beneath ruins. They attempt to find in a lost city. They send a team of archaeologists and historians to South America, where they believe the heart's sacred relic may be hidden. Months of arduous exploration and excavation lead them to a long-lost city, hidden deep within the jungle. The the city, once thriving and bustling with life, is now overgrown with vines and reclaimed by the wilderness. The team of researchers clear a path through the dense foliage and begin their search for any signs of the heart's sacred relic. As they delve deeper into the city, they come across ancient ruins and hidden chambers filled with artifacts and relics that shed light on the history and culture of the people who once lived there. They find intricately carved statues depicting the heart's sacred relic, hidden away in secret vaults and protected by ancient traps and guardians. The archaeologists work tirelessly, piecing together the clues and solving the puzzles that lead them closer to their ultimate goal. Days turn into weeks, and weeks into months as the expedition continues. The team begins to grow weary, but their determination remains strong. They are driven by the knowledge that they are on the brink of discovering something truly significant, a relic that could change the course of history. One fateful day, after hours of painstaking excavation, they uncover a hidden chamber deep within the heart of the city. The chamber is illuminated by a faint, otherworldly light, emanating from a pedestal in the center of the room. Upon the pedestal rests the heart's sacred relic, its glow pulsing with an ethereal energy. The archaeologists approach with caution, their hearts racing with anticipation and fear. As they draw nearer, they can feel the relic's power radiating off of it, as if it is alive. The air grows thick with a sense of reverence and awe. One of the team members, an elderly historian named Dr. Weston, steps forward. His hands tremble as he reaches out to touch the heart's sacred relic. As his fingers graze its smooth surface, he feels a surge of power course through him, like a bolt of lightning. The relic begins to hum, its light growing brighter, and its energy pulsing with an almost audible rhythm. The Empire of Frostreach, hearing that the Empire of Sunhaven has sacred artifacts required for the creation of the true sacred relic, seeks to invade them, but they currently have no direct land border with them, and thus, they decide to invade and attempt to conquer the state of Iowa so as to border the Empire of Sunhaven. The Frostreach Empire, led by Emperor Aldrich, begins to amass a vast army of soldiers, including the Ice Legion, the Storm Dragon, the Avatars of the Four Elements, and the Undead Druids of Brocliand. They march towards the state of Iowa, determined to conquer it and open a path to the Empire of Sunhaven. The people of Iowa, caught off guard by the sudden invasion, are at first terrified and confused. They have no idea why the Frostreach Empire would want their land, but they soon realize that they must fight for their freedom and independence. They form a militia, training and preparing for battle under the leadership of their brave and determined governor. Meanwhile, the Emperor of Frostreach, Emperor Aldrich, continues to lead his vast army towards the state of Iowa. He is determined to conquer it and open a path to the Empire of Sunhaven, so that he may retrieve the sacred artifacts needed to create the true sacred relic. As they march, they face harsh winter conditions, but the Ice Legion is unfazed, using their mastery of ice and snow to clear a path for the army. The people of Iowa, led by their courageous governor, begin to prepare for the invasion. They fortify their cities and towns, digging trenches and erecting barricades. They train their militia in guerrilla warfare, learning how to use the terrain and weather to their advantage. As news of the invasion spreads, citizens from all walks of life come together, united in their determination to protect their homeland. Meanwhile, the Frostreach Empire continues its relentless march through harsh winter conditions. The Ice Legion uses its mastery of ice and snow to carve a path through the wilderness, clearing obstacles and making way for the army. The Storm Dragon soars overhead, scattering snowflakes with its powerful wings and clearing a path for the advance of the ground forces. The Avatars of the Four Elements use their elemental powers to maintain morale and keep the army warm, while the Undead Druids of Brocliand tend to the wounded and prepare medicines to heal the injured soldiers. As they approach the borders of Iowa, the Frostreach forces spot signs of resistance the militia of Iowa has been mobilized and is prepared to defend their homeland. Emperor Aldrich, seeing the determination in their eyes, knows that this will not be an easy conquest. He orders his most experienced generals to devise a strategy that will guarantee their victory without causing unnecessary bloodshed. Meanwhile, the people of Iowa continue to fortify their positions and train their militia. The governor, inspired by the stories of the Shadow's survival and rebirth, addresses her soldiers, reminding them of their resilience and the importance of protecting their homeland at all costs. She assures them that they will not be fighting alone, as news of the invasion has spread far and wide, and allies from across the land are beginning to offer their support and aid. The Frostreach forces, led by the cunning generals, devise a plan to infiltrate the Iowa countryside and isolate key strongholds. The Storm Dragon, capable of flying unseen through clouds of snow, is sent ahead to scout the terrain while the avatars of the four elements manipulate the weather to their advantage, creating blinding snowstorms and icy winds to hinder the movements of the Iowa militia. The Ice Legion, working tirelessly through the night, erects a network of ice walls and towers to funnel the enemy forces into strategic choke points, making it difficult for them to rally and organize a counterattack. Meanwhile, the undead druids tend to the wounded and sick, using their knowledge of herbs and potions to keep the soldiers fighting fit. They also communicate with the spirits of the land, learning the weaknesses of the Iowa defenses, and relaying this information to the commanders. The Emperor himself, mounted on his fearsome ice dragon, flies overhead, observing the progress of the army and issuing orders to his generals. Emperor Aldrich, not wanting any bloodshed, simply uses the core sacred relic to make the entire population of the state of Iowa loyal to him, winning the war without drawing a single drop of blood. The people of Iowa, now loyal to the Frostreach Empire, are shocked at the power of the core sacred relic. They marvel at the wisdom and benevolence of their new leader, Emperor Aldrich, who spared them from the horrors of war. The governor, now loyal to the Emperor, works tirelessly to help rebuild the state and integrate it into the Frostreach Empire. The state of Connecticut within the Empire of Frostreach suddenly performs a cyber attack on the state of Mississippi. The attack is a complete success. The computer systems of the state of Mississippi are crippled, and all of their military and law enforcement resources are rendered useless. The people of Mississippi are left vulnerable and defenseless. The attack is swift and brutal, catching the citizens and leaders of Mississippi off guard. In the aftermath of the attack, the state of Mississippi scrambles to respond. They attempt to restore their computer systems and bring their military and law enforcement back online. But it is a difficult and time-consuming process. The citizens of Mississippi are left feeling betrayed and abandoned by their leaders as they struggle to comprehend the scope of the attack and find a way to protect themselves. Meanwhile, the state of Connecticut within the Empire of Frostreach enjoys a brief moment of triumph. Their cyber attack has crippled a rival state, leaving them vulnerable and weak. Other states within the Empire of Frostreach take notice, both admiring the skill and bravery of the attackers and fearing the consequences of such aggression. The attack sparks a renewed interest in cyber warfare within the Empire, as various factions begin to strategize and prepare for potential future conflicts. As the people of Mississippi continue to grapple with the aftermath of the attack, they also begin to question their own preparedness for such an event. It becomes clear that they had underestimated the threat posed by their neighbors and the capabilities of their enemies. This realization leads to a renewed focus on cybersecurity and defense within the state, as well as a greater appreciation for the need to maintain strong alliances with other states within the Empire. The Empire of Frostreach decides to invade the Empire of Sunhaven and try and steal their sacred artifacts so they can be one step closer to creating the true sacred relic. But their goal isn't at all conquest. After all, The Empire of Sunhaven is a multi-regional empire just like the Empire of Frostreach. Emperor Aldrich, fearing the loss of the artifacts to other forces, devises a plan to infiltrate the Empire of Sunhaven and retrieve the artifacts without starting a war. He gathers his most trusted advisors, the Cunning Generals, and presents them with the plan. They agree to send the most stealthy and cunning units of their armies, the Ninja Dragons and the Shadow Legion, to sneak into Sunhaven territory and retrieve the artifacts, while the other units, the Storm Dragon, Avatars of the Four Elements, Ice Legion, Undead Druids, and the Emperor himself, maintain a defensive perimeter around the border. The Ninja Dragons and the Shadow Legion, under the command of the most cunning of the Cunning Generals, slip into Sunhaven territory unnoticed. They navigate through dense forests, scale towering mountains, and cross treacherous rivers to reach the hidden vaults, where the artifacts are kept. The Shadow Legion, composed of the stealthiest assassins and spies, infiltrates the vaults, while the Ninja Dragons, riding their agile dragons, provide aerial support. After a tense battle, they manage to defeat the Sunhaven forces guarding the vaults and make off with the artifacts. Meanwhile, the Storm Dragon, Avatars of the Four Elements, Ice Legion, Undead Druids, and the Emperor himself maintain a defensive perimeter around the border, preparing for any counterattack from Sunhaven forces. They set up camp, establishing a network of communication and supply lines to coordinate their efforts. The Borderlands are a harsh and unforgiving place, with treacherous terrain and unpredictable weather. But the soldiers of Frostreach are well-equipped and well-trained to handle these challenges. The Empire of Sunhaven, after having had their sacred artifacts, Sacred Relic, and Heart's Sacred Relic stolen from them by the Empire of Frostreach in North Dakota, decides to attempt to negotiate the ceasefire with them. The diplomats of Sunhaven send an envoy to the capital city of the Empire of Frostreach, hoping to engage in peace talks and retrieve what was taken from them. The envoy is met with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity by the leaders of Frostreach. They understand the importance of the artifacts and relics and are reluctant to simply hand them over without some sort of concession. The envoy meets the Emperor of Frosthaven, Emperor Aldrich, the descendant and heir of the God Emperor of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius himself, who is currently holding the core sacred relic. The room is adorned with intricate tapestries depicting scenes of imperial triumph, the walls lined with statues of former emperors and great generals. The throne upon which Emperor Aldrich sits is crafted from solid gold and adorned with countless precious gems. His presence commands respect and awe. The envoy of Sunhaven presents their case, explaining the historical significance of the stolen artifacts and relics and stressing the importance of their return. Emperor Aldrich listens intently, his expression unreadable. After a moment of contemplation, he leans forward in his throne, resting his chin on his hands. He then proceeds to explain that they aren't getting their sacred relics and sacred artifacts back, because by blood, they belong to him and his empire. Emperor Aldrich continues, "My ancestor, the God Emperor of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius himself, who I am currently holding the core sacred relic for, entrusted me with the caretaking of these artifacts and relics. They were meant to be a symbol of unity, not a tool of division. By stealing them, you have brought nothing but strife and turmoil upon yourselves." He then continues talking, beginning to berate and belittle the Empire of Sunhaven. "Also, your empire carries the blood of the Empire. My ancestor used the true sacred relic to defeat. You aren't worthy to even lay your eyes upon them, let alone touch them, let alone possess them." Emperor Aldrich's voice booms through the room, echoing off the walls. The envoy of Sunhaven winces at the words, feeling a mix of anger and frustration rising within them. They attempt to maintain their composure, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. "Your words, Emperor Aldrich. only serve to further illustrate your unfitness to hold such sacred artifacts and relics. The envoy says their voice steady despite the turmoil within. You have twisted their true meaning and intent. They were meant to unite all people, not to be used as tools of division and oppression. Emperor Aldrich chuckles before speaking. Yes, under my ancestors' empire and mine, the successor of it. Not the empire it was used to defeat, nor yours. The descendant of that wretched empire. Emperor Aldrich pauses for a moment, leaning back in his throne, studying the envoy of Sunhaven intently. You speak of unity, of bringing people together, of peace. Yet, your actions speak otherwise. You have attacked our lands, stolen what does not belong to you, and sought to start a war. Tell me, what kind of peace do you truly seek? Emperor Aldrich pauses for a moment before beginning to yell out his next words. I stole what is rightfully mine from your empire. The ones who truly stole them are your empire. And don't even think of declaring war, or I will repeat what my ancestor did and use them to dissolve your empire and bring it all rightfully under my control. Emperor Aldrich's voice booms out in rage. The envoy of Sunhaven, taken aback by the Emperor's anger, struggles to maintain their composure. They take a deep breath, trying to calm themselves before responding. Your words, Emperor Aldrich, only serve to further illustrate your twisted understanding of history and the true intent of these artifacts. They were meant to unite all people, regardless of empire or bloodline. It is you who seek to divide us, to keep us apart. Emperor Aldrich bursts out laughing, only because by the end of it, there was only one empire left to unite under. My ancestors. Emperor Aldrich is bursting out laughing like a madman. Yet his eyes show that this entire time he couldn't be more calm. Oh, please, spare me the sob stories and the victim complex. It's not like your empire was the one that got to keep the relics after your ancestors' empire was disbanded. Aldrich says between bouts of laughter, and don't you dare say that I'm trying to divide you. It's your own damn fault that you attacked us and started this whole mess. If you had just left things as they were, none of this would have happened. Emperor Aldrich finally composes himself, his face turning serious. Now, I suggest you take this message back to your emperor. Tell him that I will not give up what is rightfully mine, and that if he continues down this path of war, he will only bring ruin upon his people. The envoy of Sunhaven listens, feeling a mixture of anger, frustration, and fear. They nod solemnly, understanding the gravity of the situation. I will convey your message to my emperor, they say, rising from their seat. However, know that this does not mean peace is impossible. There may still be room for negotiation. Emperor Aldrich then begins speaking again. I indeed do seek peace, but my peace doesn't include an empire of Sunhaven, or said empire of Sunhaven holding my sacred relics and sacred artifacts. Emperor Aldrich, despite the angry words he is using, couldn't be more calm. The envoy of Sunhaven listens carefully to Aldrich's final statement, pondering its implications. They nod, understanding that peace will not come easily in this situation. As they turn to leave the throne room, their heart heavy with the weight of the message they carry, they can't help but wonder if there truly is any hope for reconciliation between their empires. The halls of the palace seem to echo with the tension and uncertainty of the moment, as if the very stones themselves are bracing for the storm that is to come.